What is up, guys? Welcome back to the TNT Business Podcast. I'm your host, KT Temple, and here with my co-host, Ken Temple. What's up, dude?
Not happy right now. Not happy.
Oh, man.
Man, we did.
The Hurricanes.
The Hurricanes lost. That makes me mad. And a couple weeks ago, we did that. What you should ask to be on a team. And so I've sent that to a couple people to listen to, and they've enjoyed it. But then somebody came in and they said, "Yeah, I love that episode so much. I picked another one to listen to." Well, those two, episode number 1 with your mom. So she's even further ahead now in terms of downloads. That KT. And by the way, it's June. That means that episode, I believe, is 3 years old.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think people realize that first episode with Mom is still the most popular one.
Yes. And happy anniversary to KT and his podcast career. It's been 3 years this month sometime.
Yeah, man. I've been doing it for a while. So before we are going to talk about sports betting today, mostly because me and Kent are really actually glad we didn't put money on the Hurricanes last night. But we're going to talk about what that looks like and just kind of the pitfalls and what we're seeing, especially with young men around here. Before we get into that, I do want to thank our sponsor, the Temple Team. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you can find us at thetempleteam.com. We've got agents all the way from Statesville down to Fort Mill, and we're located in the Charlotte, Lake Norman area. And even if you're looking for a house somewhere else, reach out to us. We can help connect you with an agent anywhere across the country. So again, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you can find us at thetempleteam.com.
Yeah. And so KT, we're really, today we're really going to talk not about sports betting. I mean, that's part of it, but it's just about this culture we're in right now of just betting, period.
Yeah.
But KT, just to give you a brief background, I've never told you this. I love sports. Have you ever seen me bet? Have you ever seen me bet on sports?
No. I'm glad you didn't, because I would do it if you had been doing that when I was a kid. I definitely would have gotten into it.
I got a very valuable lesson when I was a freshman in college, and back then we didn't have all this stuff today. You had to know somebody that knew a bookie, and so actually the RA on my floor, who was a senior, knew a bookie, and I put $50 on a game. And when I lost, he came to collect the $55. And I went, "What do you mean $55? Because we lost 50 and you got to pay the 10% because you lost." And I went, "Oh, wow. How about that?" And I went, "I worked too hard for my money." And so that was, with the exception of, I'll tell you there are 2 times that I bet, KT. If I'm in Vegas and there's something good on, I like, especially basketball, because I don't play cards. So everybody's just playing cards. I'll go to the sports book and I'll pick 10 games, and I'll put $20 on 10 games just so I can sit there and watch them. So I do that. And then I'll bet anybody, anytime. And Larry, if you're listening, you're on this list. Lunch. I'll play, lunch. I'll bet lunch anytime, but I'm not going to gamble my hard-earned money. Well, now, man, today there's some weird stuff going on with I don't even know, the Kaleshi or all the
Kalshi.
Prediction markets, all this stuff.
Well, let's start exactly where because what you said is actually a good lead point to where all this began. The Supreme Court struck down the federal ban on sports gambling in 2018. Sports betting has evolved from a back alley vice into a massive multi-billion-dollar mainstream industry. And so what you said was what most people's lives were. They went to Vegas. They, were able to bet with, at the sports book and everything like that. Yeah. And then in 2018, the floodgates opened. You're allowed to bet anywhere now.
But before 2018, KT, the only places that you could legally gamble on sports would have been Vegas, Atlantic City, or an Indian reservation.
Yep.
That was kind of it for the most part. Well, now they've just opened it up.
Today it's legal in nearly 40 states and Washington, D.C.
And I get, okay, if I was going to bet, I would go bet on the game. I'm not going to bet on how many seconds the national anthem is. I'm not going to bet on who I think is going to score the first goal. There's all this crazy stuff. It used to be basically, KT, you bet on a game.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. And man, in under a decade, we've gone to, you can bet on just about anything. I know you're going to tell a great story about what you can bet on at some point in this.
Yeah, we'll get to prediction markets here soon because it gets even wilder when you get to that.
Prediction markets,
Yeah. So here's some of the stats for how big this has gotten. In 2023 alone, so this is just 2023, it has probably doubled since then, if I had to guess.
Americans
Yeah, Americans legally wagered a staggering 119 billion on sports, a 27.5% increase from the previous year. These platforms make money on what's called the hold, the percentage of total bets the sportsbook keeps after paying out the winners. Kind of like what you were saying. Typically, that's around 8% to 10%. When you're dealing with over $100 billion, that hold translates to historic corporate revenues.
Yeah, it's insane. And again, KT, that's 2023. I agree with you. It's probably gone up more than 25% each of the last 2 years over that and into 2026.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to figure out who is using this. So studies show that an overwhelmingly majority of online sports bettors are male, and they skew incredibly young, primarily between the ages of 18 and 34.
Yeah, I mean, KT, that demographic dominates serial killers and sports gamblers. There you go. They're two things. No, it truly is though, and it's an epidemic right now. And trust me. And by the way, and you're going, okay, I know you guys are realtors and y'all talk about real estate a lot. This is affecting people buying houses. There's a reason that women. That single women are buying twice as many homes than single men.
Yeah.
And this is one of them right here.
We'll do the women version of this, which is the buy now, pay later situation for women in that age group. But the sports betting is definitely getting the men at a much higher rate. And this leads into, like you said, the reason why this is so important to us. What's the average age of a first-time home buyer?
Well, so when I bought my first house, it was 28. When you bought your first house, it was 38. Mm-hmm. Last year, it was 40. In 25, it was 40. And right now, they're thinking it might go to 42.
Yeah. And when we said those ages, 18 to 34. So you kind of see okay, it affects you up until this point. Then you got to wait another 4 years to fix all the stuff that you did between those ages. And now you can buy a house. So it correlates almost perfectly with what those numbers are. Like, here's when you're sports gambling. Here's when you actually buy a house.
And it's funny, KT, and I've seen these sites. On the front end, they give you $20 to bet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, here. We'll give you the first 20 to bet.
Yeah, you got your free play bonuses.
Yeah, but then at the end of the commercial, after they give you $20, and at the end of the commercial, they say, by the way, gambling's a real problem. If you get addicted, call this number. So it's almost like they're setting you up. Okay, get in here, and then maybe we'll find somebody to help you, get out of it at some point.
And here's how they got so good at it so quickly. Gambling is in every form of your digital experience. No matter what you're doing online, if you're on Facebook, well, the reason they got you so addicted to Facebook is they went and studied casinos. If you're like me, and I used to play Overwatch back in the day, which was a video game, and the big thing with that video game was that you got loot boxes. So, you would play like a game back in the day and you would unlock a character, or you would unlock a costume for that character. Well, now instead of unlock, you just play for forever. You get enough currency and you get a loot box, and you get to gamble on if you get anything at all. You roll it, you get 4 random things. You might get something, you might not. So even in these kid things, you're experiencing gambling everywhere you go. So now you get the option to go and plug and play at the adult level, and you've already been primed to be able to be susceptible to all these different things.
Yeah. Well, and KT, you mentioned casinos too in there. By the way, 2 of the biggest casinos in Vegas are both getting ready to be sold.
Yeah.
And it's because if you go look at their stock prices, they have not performed well. Stock market's been on fire for the last few years. They have not done well, and here's why. People don't have to go to Vegas anymore. The economy's tight. People are not traveling like they used to. And so they're just not getting the revenue that they used to. And it doesn't help that Canada has kind of boycotted America. Canadians do not come to the United States as much as they were since we started the tariffs. Where do Canadians go most? Florida and Vegas. And so, that's why casinos are going, because now I don't have to fly to Vegas and pay all that. If I've got a phone, I can go gamble all I want.
Yep. And so before we get into more of this stuff, do you know what a parlay is?
Sure.
All right. Explain what a parlay is. Because I honestly, 6 months ago, I didn't know what that was until my brother-in-law explained it to me, his parlay, because I had no idea what that word even meant.
So parlay is where Um, let's say that so the Spurs and the Knicks are playing. Let's say that the Spurs are favored by 5 tonight. Okay, well, I can do a parlay where maybe I'll get the Spurs and I'm only favoring the Spurs by 2. So I've got a real good bet on the Spurs that looks real attractive. But for me to win that bet, I have to win everything I have in the parlay. So I might have 3, 4, 5 bets out there. And the only way and individually they'll look great. If I could bet those, each one of them, I'd bet all 5 and maybe I'd win 4 of them. But they set it up knowing that you probably won't win all 5. But if you win all 5, it's a great payout. But if you lose one of them, it doesn't matter that you won the other 4, you lose everything. And that's how, and that's where that's where people get sucked in, because you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you hit it big, you win. They're going, oh, I'll win this big one. The thing is, you have to remember, they didn't build, if you've ever been to Vegas, they didn't build those big hotel casinos by losing money. The house always wins.
Well,
Every time.
and what that does is, again, young men, they now go online and they're researching everything, and they're trying to figure out, okay, this player's hurt, this player's done this before, they're trying to figure it out, and now they're super invested into this, and they think they have more information. They think they're beating the system, and it makes them more confident to do these parlays at super leveraged against them, obviously, but super leveraged positions.
Yeah, I've got a good buddy, KT. And I won't say his. I tell you what, I'll put it like this: go back and listen to all the episodes. He actually has been on our show before. But way back early on, he's told me the story. I just have permission to say that he told me the story. He got in a hole gambling, and he said, "I'll never forget the game that I watched. Was a Monday Night Football game, and I pretty much this was my make or break deal. If I didn't win this one, and it was a tight game, and at the very end he won and got out of the hole he was in, and good on him. And he walked away, and and so he's like me now. Yeah, I'll bet you for lunch, but that's the most we're going to gamble for. But not everybody's lucky like that. Too many people dig that hole, and then to get out of it. Now, the bookies guys aren't going to come break your legs like the old days, but you could be looking at you could be looking at filing bankruptcy based on gambling debts.
Yep.
But we didn't, by the way, if you're listening to this, we haven't got to the good stuff yet, because when we get these prediction markets, that's the
I mean, it's so. But this is what led to the prediction markets. This is how it started in 2018 when the Supreme Court allowed this. This is what allowed prediction markets, and another lawsuit that was overturned that made prediction markets available, and the sports betting on prediction. It's a whole thing. So the question you got to ask is, why is this okay? And why, when you watch television, is it everywhere? No matter where you go, a mom was even saying, it's on the tennis channel now, like to bet on the tennis matches. It's everywhere you go.
We're watching the tennis matches, and they're given the odds.
Yeah.
On TV of this. I'm like, I mean, it's
pretty woven into American sports now,
especially pro sports. In college, maybe not quite. Although you can bet all you want on college, they won't mention it but in the pro sports, I mean, they're talking about it. Well, you've got ESPN runs the shows on it. They have shows that are dedicated to who you're going to bet on this Sunday, especially football season. I mean, man, it's insane. But there's a whole business built around that.
And so, what got me interested in this is a clip I saw about Russian sports betting farms. Did you find the video I sent you of that?
I didn't.
Okay, so it's exactly what it sounds like. Imagine like a YMCA where they have sports going on in every single corner of that, from racquetball to table soccer to things you have never even heard of. They're doing a sport, and they're live streaming it 24/7. And beside that live stream, you can place bets. And these guys play there. All their job is to just play sports. It doesn't matter if they're good, doesn't matter if they're bad. They just sit there and play, and you can bet on these. It's like the penny stocks of sports betting, and it's 24/7 that you can sit there and bet on Russian sport farms. It's wild. And so that's what led me to this story of like, how big does this get? And I don't even think it's started. I don't think any regulation will come to stop it until it gets really, really bad. But I don't know, what really, really bad looks like in this scenario.
I don't either. I
Yeah.
mean, we're already there. We're already really, really bad.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like we should be giving out one of those 800 numbers if you have a gambling
yeah,
problem
if
right
you do.
now. I don't have that number handy.
So this opened up um, the wave of prediction markets. And prediction markets are pretty much the same thing. The story I was telling my dad of a prediction market
This is
scandal
hilarious.
that happened was a guy bet that there would be a streaker at a soccer game. And so he bet, let's say $100,000 that there would be a streaker at the soccer game. So if there was, he'd win big. And to make sure that happened, he just went streaking at the soccer game. And obviously he was jailed, he was fined, but he bet so much money, it was paltry sum compared to what he actually won by betting on himself streaking. And so you can change the odds. There was another case of a guy getting in a lot of trouble. I don't know if he actually made out over than what he bet on, but he bet on the temperature for the day. So how do you scam the temperature of the day? How
Oh,
would you?
I read this, and so it was, and to do the temperature, I think it was in London, and to do the temperature, it's the official temperature at the airport. Okay,
Yeah.
that's where it's based on, right? And the right story, KT.
Yep.
Yep, yep,
And he just showed up with a hair dryer. Just found
yep.
that thermometer and just
Found out where it was. Had a hair dryer, and but he didn't get caught until like he did it like the fifth time.
yeah.
Every couple of weeks, yeah, he was getting away with it. I was like, wow, they had that spike in temperature. Wasn't that crazy? Yes, he was taking a hair dryer to where it was, and that's how he's doing. But KT, here's the thing. First off, in these prediction markets, you can bet on just about anything. It started out. So you start out with sports. Well, then you went to politics, and that's become a big one. And I think it's still against the law in the United States that you have to do offshore. I think to bet on that, or at least at one point you did. But man, it's gotten everything. For example, you could bet on who was going to be elected the Pope. So apparently Catholics like to bet too, because that was one of them. But now, KT, you're starting to see all kinds of people getting in trouble. For example, one of the guys that captured the Venezuelan president when they went in and got him,
Mhm.
yeah, he bet on himself and knew the date that they were going to do it. So yeah, he's in jail right now. Yeah, I mean he's been indicted for that, but he classified information. Now you're starting to hear more and more about people that have the inside knowledge because they're going and they're looking at these patterns. They're going, wait a minute, how did that person bet this? And it's a lot of people that have inside knowledge. Because I've told this for years. I'm in real estate, and in real estate, I've always said we have legalized insider trading, and it's because I know the information. I know what house is going on the market at what price before anybody else, and I can act on it, and it's legal. But if I worked at Apple and I found out something was going to happen tomorrow, and I called KT and I said, KT, take all your money and go buy Apple stock, and then tomorrow the stock's going to go up, and then we'll sell it, and we'll split the money. That's insider trading. You go to jail for that. Well, this is the same thing right now. Is you've got people that are going to spend time in prison because they are either manipulating things to make it happen, and I'll get to that in a second, or what we're talking about right now. They're just using inside information. Now, here's where the manipulation comes in. A lot of people are familiar with the 1919 Black Sox that threw the World Series, and these people got banned. Okay, back then you probably could throw ball games. It's a little tough to throw ball games now, but with these prediction markets, a couple Major League Baseball players got arrested because people were actually betting on one pitch, and they were betting ball or strike on a pitch. Well, fine. If you're betting a quarter every time and just kind of rolling the dice, that's fine. What would happen is they would say, okay, in the fifth inning, the fourth pitch I throw, I guarantee you will be a ball. So all of a sudden, people betting a quarter, and then somebody bets $10,000 on the fourth pitch. Boom, it was a ball, and they win big, right? That's what these guys got caught doing. They weren't manipulating a whole game because of these prediction markets and these weird freaking bets you can make. They were manipulating one little piece to make money. And then, in the NBA, this goes back to the information. All these guys got arrested in the NBA. Now, there's two parts of this, KT. And remember, when I say these guys, I'm talking about players. I'm talking about
and a coach,
the coach, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, who was a phenomenal player, got arrested. Now, he got arrested for something. He didn't get arrested so much for the games because in this big thing, there were two things going on. One, is there were guys feeding them information. For example, and I'll use this example was given. LeBron James, it was one of the he was basically a volunteer coach, but he played with LeBron James in Cleveland. So he's with the Lakers. Whenever he knew like ahead of time that LeBron wasn't going to play, he's going, hey guys, bet now. Because here's the way it works, KT. Let's say that LeBron's going to play and the Lakers are playing the Clippers. And the Lakers are favored by 5. Okay, because you're thinking he's going to play. Well, you go bet it then when people you go bet then and you go, yeah, I don't think the Lakers are going to win by 5. Okay. Well, then an hour after you bet that and you got the bet in against that happening, they say, oh, LeBron's not going to play. Well, now the Lakers aren't even favored by 5 anymore. The Clippers are favored by 5, but you got the bet the other way.
Yeah.
So that's the inside information that they're using. That's what they got. Now, the Portland coach, he got arrested for rigged card games. That was completely different.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, they were using what he was doing is because he's famous and he was setting his card games. Dude, they had tables you could see through and just all kinds of stuff. And basically, they were just taking rich guys in there and like, man, you suck at cards, and taking their money. That had nothing to do with the prediction markets, or because that was just that was just taking advantage of people.
Here's the biggest problem with all this is that when everything is a gamble, then everything is incentivized to be cheated on, and everything is going to be incentivized to get insider information. And it's just the easiest way to promote corruption in every aspect of your life. No matter what it is, there's now an incentive to either leak information, there's an incentive to cheat in a situation, and it's for everything, no matter what it is. And I think you're going to, somebody was able to leak who was going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And so I think that's a pretty good level of like, how deep does this go? If you can't keep that information safe, what can you keep safe in those situations?
Well, KT, I'll give you another example of how far we've gone. And granted, if you invest in the stock market, I don't consider that gambling. Okay. If you're going, oh yeah, I've got a 401k, and here's why, is because the stock market over time is going to go up. Yes, it goes up and down and things. I don't really consider that gambling. Now, if you're day trading, but you're in and out of stuff, you're short selling stuff, that's just another form of gambling to me. And now, if you know the market really well, I get it. You have the information. That's what you're doing. But that is kind of a form of gambling. Well, yesterday, a guy just got convicted of 13 counts because what he was doing, he's like a famous short seller. So he would go and he would bet against the company. Then he'd go on social media and trash the company. Yeah. And the stock price would go down. He'd say, I told you it was going to go down. And he's going to serve a bunch of years in prison for manipulating.
All he had to do to make that legal was to do it in a prediction market instead. And that's the crazy part. You can't do that there. You can't do that in the stock market. But imagine if he said, in this prediction market, that will go down. And that's all you want to have. That's the line that this is teetering on is, what's the difference at this point? And I don't think there is a difference minus one, you really don't have an investment.
Yeah. And KT, they've studied the prediction markets, by the way, and a very low percentage of people win.
Of course.
In fact, I want to say it's only 13% of people ultimately win in prediction markets. 87% are going to lose money.
So there is no like what to do after this because it is here to stay. I think prediction markets might be throttled, not in this administration, but maybe in the next. The Kushner, and they're all invested into these companies. So
yeah, Kushner, he's invested in them. I think Kitty, I think prediction markets at some point there'll have to be some sort of regulation, and I think that could be something that maybe we're not talking about a few years from now, but in terms of sports betting and things like that, no, we're in it, and it's probably just going to continue to grow as a business, and that's sad.
What this is more of as a PSA for your own safety, your own financial safety, is to probably stay away from bet. I know, isn't that crazy? Betting's bad for you. Don't gamble, guys. That's the moral of this story, I guess.
Well, so to all the 18 to 34-year-old males, don't do it. And for all the 18 to 34-year-old females, you have one more question to ask before you date somebody. It's like, how, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see your prediction market
Oh,
account.
dude, bro, these guys can't stop talking about it. You'll know. You don't even have to ask the
You
question
have to ask her
because
and tell you.
you're gonna go on the date, and it's gonna be at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he's gonna have the phone in his hand the entire time. Yeah,
So
you're able to spot it pretty quickly.
KT, he picks on me about my age sometimes, and I'm gonna pick on him about his age. Hey, KT, you're almost not the demographic anymore.
Oh, dude,
Oh, yes,
it's coming in Feb. I know.
one for me.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you found this episode interesting, please leave us a review. Really does help us out a lot. If you want to share this with somebody who likes sports gambling, good opportunity to be like, hey, don't do that. Check out these guys. Listen to them. And we will be back again next week with another episode. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
market update. It's market update next week. Don't forget, I know a
Yeah.
lot of you look forward to the quarterly market update, and next week will be it. So,
Yeah. And thank you so much to the Temple team. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, find us at templeteam.com. See you next week.